boxing on Channel 5. Defending his name, his legacy, Harlem Eubank. Battling his way up the super lightweight rankings. Can he remain undefeated? Big Fight Live, Eubank versus Usyk, Friday at 10 on Channel 5.
Razaban IFL TV, proudly sponsored by Everlast. Delighted to have with me on Zoom the knowledge, Spencer Fearon. Spence, firstly, how are we doing? Looking a bit fashionable.
Yeah, something like that. I'm trying to be Will I Am.
You want to give us a few lyrics?
Because he's of Jamaican descent, so yeah. Nah. Yeah. How you doing, man? How's everything?
I'm good.
How's your fasting?
Fasting is brilliant. Time is flying past very, very, very quickly.
Yeah.
Obviously,
9 days to go, right?
Yeah, about 8-9 days to go.
9 days to go. Yeah.
Not long. Yeah, I pestered you just a few moments ago just to do a quick Zoom. Obviously, it's fight week. Joyce returns back to the ring against Zhang, obviously. Firstly, a lot of people are questioning Joyce for selecting someone like Zhang, considering Joyce's position with the WBO, and considering that this is a risk that he doesn't need to take.
It is, but Joe Joyce is a fighter. And if you look at Joe Joyce, his first professional fight a few years back now was against Ian Lewison. Ian Lewison is a tough, rough campaigner for you to have your first professional fight with, even though you're an Olympic silver medalist. So you must understand that Joe Joyce was meaning business from the get-go. If you look at how Joe Joyce was moved, he was moved to get these fights in, and fair play to him, because he's stepped up time and time again. And you know, all credit in the world should be given to Joe Joyce. I rate Joe. I like Joe Joyce a lot. You know, I really do.
A lot of people thought that Zhang, I know he didn't get the decision, but a lot of people think that he beat Hrgović back in Saudi. I believe it was on the AJ Usyk undercard in the rematch. So he is a problem in the heavyweight division. He's tall. We know heavyweights carry power. How much of a difficult fight is this for Joyce and his style?
Well, the thing about it is this: as he's been renamed by the fighters, right, and Tunde Ajayi, Joe Joyce is called Jollof Joe, right? He is, forget about the juggernaut. That's not you. You are Jollof Joe. He is a very, very tough individual. And I think that Joe Joyce is actually fighting within himself. I think Joe Joyce could actually perform bigger and better than what he's performing. I think Joe Joyce is actually performing at about 70%. I think there's another 30% to come out of Joe Joyce because of his lumbering style. And he fools people because he's got a lethargic way of plodding methodically forward. But I'm telling you, you see he can do Caballero and all of this kind of stuff. He's very artistic as well. I believe there's a lot more to come out of Joe Joyce. And I think Zhang, usually Joe Joyce is taller than the guys that he faces. He's up against a mammoth individual, you know what I mean, Chinese power, right? So he's up against a man where for a change he's going to be punching up. But when they did head-to-head together, the size difference wasn't that much. I thought the size difference was going to be massive. I saw a picture with Gareth Hayes Davis and him and Zhang, and you could see the size difference. But I forgot that Gareth is kind of tiny. I'd have liked to see Spencer Oliver picture with Zhang. That's what I'd like to see, right? Big up Spencer Oliver, my guy, you know? But yeah, I think Zhang is a tough guy simply because Zhang, as far as I'm concerned, and many people inside the game believe that Zhang actually defeated Hrgović. And I believe so as well. I think Hrgović wasn't up for that fight, but we heard that I think Hrgovic's father passed away, right? So I know this bereavement stuff, I keep on going about it. That could have affected Hrgović, or it could have flipped and he could have came out more demonic. But it was a subpar performance by Hrgović, and I still think Zhang won that fight, regardless of the backstory. Zhang should have got the decision. So Joe Joyce is fighting relatively an undefeated fighter. So we really truly got this. This fight is bigger than. This fight is a very big fight, and it should be given its credit for what the fight is, and credit should be given to both men for taking this fight. This ain't no easy fight for nobody. It's not a pushover fight for no one.
One of the criticism against Joe Joyce is he takes too many punches. We know he's got a great chin, and we know he likes to almost take one to give one. But moving forward, will this have an effect on him, the volume of punches that he's taking during fights?
Obviously, let me tell you this now. Water can erode rock, right? So if water can erode rock, obviously you keep on getting hit, you keep on getting hit, you keep on getting hit, you're trading on your toughness. Like historically, guys who can take a lot, I mean, certain guys, it has reverberations when you retire. They're saying, like, George Chuvalo, the Canadian heavyweight, he was Canadian champion. He fought Ali, he fought everyone. He fought Ali, he fought Foreman. He fought Cleveland Williams, was one of the hardest punches ever. Even though he fought Cleveland Williams, tail end of Cleveland Williams' career. He fought all of these guys, right? And George Chuvalo could take it. And up to today, George Chuvalo still got all of his faculties, right? Other guys like Jerry Corey, he was another guy who could take it, could really, really take it, right? I'll say to anyone, go and watch Jerry Corey versus Joe Frazier. I think it's 69 for the WBC heavyweight. No, the New York State Athletic Championship, right? That was voted like Ring Magazine Fight of the Year. Incredible fight. Two men just stood in the pocket and whirled at each other. No mucking around, no running down. Let's go and fight. And him till end, then he got reverberations with brain damage and everything else. So certain guys can take it. Everyone has a different threshold. They keep on trading on Joe Joyce's skull is thicker than the average human being, right? But the average human being is not getting punched consistently. But right now it's working for Joe Joyce. But I'd rather Joe Joyce like improve on his technique a little bit. But it does add for excitement that he can stay in the pocket and keep on marching you down. But I would like to see Joe Joyce tighten up on a little things, because you can take it for a little while, but you never know.
Final prediction for the fight?
Final prediction for the fight. I got Joe Joyce. The way how I'm seeing Joe Joyce right, but I know Zhang ain't no easy fight. But the way I'm seeing Joe Joyce now, and Joe Joyce has got this momentum now, and everybody saying like, oh, Joyce would beat AJ right now and stuff like that. And I got Joe Joyce, I would say maybe 10th or 11th round stoppage.
We look forward to it. A great night of boxing on non-pay-per-view on BT Sport this Saturday night. Spence, one of the issues we have with fighters sometimes is they're not active enough. Some fighters like to have one fight a year, 2 fights a year. We know the greats in the past used to fight 6, 7, 8 times a year. We were all expecting Anthony Joshua to have another fight in July and then in December, as per his promoter Eddie Hearn. But Anthony Joshua put out an Instagram story stating that he will no longer be fighting in July, and he will now be fighting in December only. So limits him to only 2 fights this particular year. Some rumors have been flying around about some mega kind of tournament taking place in Saudi Arabia. Just want to kind of get your thoughts on first Joshua only fighting twice and having another almost 6 months off before he gets back in the ring again.
You know what? I think a lot of people have been very, very critical of Anthony Joshua. I think he's a young man who's under immense, and he's still a young man, right? He's a young man under immense pressure, right? Now, I think the British boxing public are very, very selfish, and we have we're becoming like fair weather friends. Knowing what this young man, Anthony Joshua, has done for British boxing and how much cash that he brought into British boxing, and the hype that he's brought into British boxing, I think Anthony Joshua and his team should be commended for what they've done. I think we should be grateful, and we're indebted to somebody like Anthony Joshua, because at that time, we're like 2012 to present day. So we've gone, what, 11 years of Anthony Joshua, right? And 10 years as him as a professional fighter. I think we should be doing more to try and uplift the young man instead of tear him down. And I myself have been critical of Anthony Joshua only because I want to see him do better, right? And I know the weight of expectation that's on him, being this man who has done his best not to be stereotypical, not to he's tried to be polished. Not only tried to be polished, he tried to be polished because he knows like on how that could affect younger kids coming up like who look like himself, or who are from his same neighborhood, who are from his same environment, or who have a cultural identity to him, right? So because of that, I think a lot of people are overly giving it to Anthony Joshua. I think we should take our time with Anthony Joshua and try and help him rebuild, because it is possible for him to come back and still win a version of a world title. But at the same time, is for Anthony Joshua to believe that he can be heavyweight champion of the world again.
These rumors that are floating about, Simon Jordan mentioned it on Talksport. I see some other tweets about Saudi Arabia putting on this massive tournament, potentially Fury versus Usyk, Wilder versus Joshua, and the winners face each other. Is that something you heard as well? Can you give us a bit of insight if there's anything you know?
Well, I heard something big was coming, right? I'm gonna be real with you, right? I heard something big was coming. I'm not gonna say who told me. Derek Chisora. Right. What I'm trying to, but he didn't tell me what it was. He said, "Look, Spence, something big's coming, and you ain't even gonna you with all your knowledge, you are not gonna be able to guess what's coming, but something big is coming, right?" And then I see your dear friend from Skill Challenge ringside at the Joshua fight. You know what I mean? I'm team Abdullah as well, right? So, and I see him ringside, and then we start kind of connecting the dots, saying like, yeah, would this be happening? Then they're saying this in December. The rumors is Simon Jordan. Simon Jordan is a very, very clever individual, right? I'm waiting for Simon Jordan to start promoting boxing. That's what I'm waiting for. I guarantee you that's going to come soon. I guarantee it. Very clever man, very intellectual man. So when you're seeing him say, well, I've heard this, Talksport a big business right now. So I don't think they're going to just go for things on a whim. I think they're going to roll with things. And I see that happening. Also, we saw Prince Khalid at the fight for AJ's fight as well, who's very close to Derek Chisora. Derek Chisora is one was like a brand ambassador kind of. I don't know the exact role of Derek Chisora, what Derek Chisora is doing, but all I know is like he's got his thing like Delicious TV right now. And I said, as long as I don't have to call you being a grown-ass man and calling you Delicious, then we're cool. I'm saying that I could see this happening. The Kingdom of Saudi Arabia has that kind of pulling power money to go do something like this. And then if we was to go back to 1986 in the HBO tournament that was put together, when you had Larry Holmes, Michael Spinks, Mike Tyson, Tim Witherspoon, Trevor Burbeck, and Pinkley Thomas in that competition, I could see something happening again, because that would ignite the interest in the heavyweight division, properly ignite it. So, and if that does happen, I guarantee you I'm going to be there. I'm not missing that. I'm not missing that at all. It would be great.
Spence, even if that was to happen in December, that date or that month where Eddie and Joshua said that they'll be out, Joshua put a story out, see you guys in 12 weeks or something like that. Should he still not fight in July? There is some criticism online because some people have said, well, he doesn't want to fight in July because he doesn't want to risk losing, because he wants to cash out towards the end of the year. I'm not saying that. That's what some people are saying online. But should he still have that fight? We saw he didn't look great in his first fight with Derek James, and maybe another fight before a while that will do him well.
Well, I'm going to say this to Anthony Joshua. If Anthony Joshua hasn't, because we spoke, he did something on the inside. Big up Gary Blake, our producer as well. He did something, and we was talking about books that he read. He said the first book that he sat down and read was Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I would suggest to Anthony Joshua to go and read this book called The Big Fight. It's Sugar Ray Leonard's autobiography, right? I remember reading that book about 10 years ago. A really good book. Well, the beginning parts, with no disrespect to Sugar Ray, because I love Sugar Ray Leonard. But Sugar Ray Leonard, prior to fighting Marvin Hagler, and remember at this time he was out of boxing. He didn't have a fight for nearly 3.5 years. And what Sugar Ray Leonard did, he had behind closed doors boxing matches where the guys who'd come in, he had good guys like Simon Brown, who went on to become a unified welter and super welterweight champion of the world. He had those guys come in with head guards, but he would actually have to fight those guys. So it was a higher glorified sparring match but it wasn't a sparring match. These guys were paid well to go in there and fight with you. Maybe Anthony Joshua needs that to have it have that kind of surroundings. Have that surroundings where we're gonna get a top contender. I'm gonna say, right, you're hired in for 5 rounds of sparring, and the next guy hired in for 5 rounds of sparring, and that's what you do. You groom it like a fight. If you go do that, I don't know, you get some guys in for sparring like that. Someone like Big Baby Miller or the other Big Baby, Gerard Anderson, or get kids in like that, hot kids who are going to push you in the spar. And you say, right, you know what? If you put me on my butt, there's £100,000 bonus, or $100,000 bonus. Do something like that where you'll have time to, to build more of a relationship with Derek James and stuff like that. I think that's what Anthony Joshua needs. Anthony Joshua needs to have behind closed doors boxing matches with top-rated contenders. And you say, well, what top-rated contender would do that? They'll take it. They'll take it. Well, I'm going to bring you in for sparring. They're going to come in for sparring because look, Tyson Fury has top guys in for sparring, right? And that's what I think Anthony Joshua should do to prepare himself if he's going to say, right, I'm not fighting until December. That's what Anthony Joshua should do. Behind closed doors, high octane sparring against top-rated contenders, right? And you put a bounty on your head. You say, anyone who can knock me on my ass, I'll give you £100,000 straight. That bounty there, you're gonna get guys who are gonna say, yeah, I want that work. I want that work. They're gonna come in and you treat it like you train for 5 weeks just to have that kind of high-level sparring. And then he'd be good. I'm just letting out the secrets but that's what Sugar Leonard did, and it did him no wrong in, what was that, April 6th of 1987 when he came out of retirement to fight Marvin Hagler. And if it could work for Sugar Ray Leonard, one of the greatest to ever do it, why wouldn't it work for someone like Anthony Joshua?
Absolutely. Spence, always appreciate giving me a little bit of your time. There's a lot more topics I want to go through, but I know this video is quite dragging on a little bit. Obviously, the big fight next week, Gervonta Davis, Ryan Garcia.
I cannot wait for that fight. I can't wait for that fight. And also, for anyone who's out looking to watch the fight on the weekend, head down to Club Cabana. And where they're showing the fight down there. I'm looking forward to the fight on the weekend. And also there's a young kid called Joel Kudua, who's trained by Baba Tundi Ajayi, who's a super welterweight. I think this is his second professional fight. I'm looking forward to watching him, and a massive big up to Francis Warren for arranging my tickets for the fight, because I'm bringing my little boy. So big up to those guys too.
Spence Fearon, HiFL TV, thank you very much.
No good for me. That's the reality. If you want the honest truth, and I see it every day,